Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the HO scale GE 44 tonner. This is from Rapido Trains. It's equipped with DC, DCC, and ESU LOKSound. So let's see what you get in the box starting right now. Depending on your dealer, you may or may not have this little plastic slide thing. You should. This will protect the box from shelf wear. Inside, manual for enginemen. It looks like they replicated one of the manuals from the 44 tonner on the front. And then inside you have all of your functions listed, CV values, how to factory reset, and eventually you end up on the other side, which you flip over, and that is French. So you can see that there. Locomotive itself, it's got a couple little wedges of foam there on the side that pop out. There's some accessory pieces there and a baggie. And the locomotive slides out of a blister packaging. Just that easy. And we'll get all of this foam removed so we can get a closer look. Alright, this locomotive is short and sweet, but we'll point out a few features, including the metal couplers with magnetic glide hands. You've got an airline hose or brake line hose there, coupler cut bar, radiator grill there, headlight, obviously the handrails. There is a treaded walkway. You've got the finely detailed windshield wipers, exhaust, and the handrails on the side, the trucks. You've got the cab windows there with a cab armrest, exhaust stacks on both sides as you can see, and a horn that is placed right there. On this side you got a little grab iron. Let me get back in focus here. Little grab iron off on the side of the radiator. You can see right there. This is a red-sealed era of Union Pacific, obviously way before the modern era, 2006. But you can see all of that detail on the pilot and all of the little compartment detail on the locomotive itself. And up top you have these vents which help, I believe, circulate air for the prime mover. So that, in a nutshell, as you can see there's more compartment detail there, is the locomotive. Pretty short and sweet, like I said. There's a view of the bottom with air reservoirs for brake lines and some plumbing below there, and a little area for the speaker to emit sound. So if you wanted to see the bottom, there it is, and that's really all there is to this locomotive. You see the see-through step grating as well up there at the top right here. So they've packed as much detail as they can in such a simple and short locomotive. Take a peek at the weight here. In grams, it's showing 160 grams. That's 5.6 ounces, so it's about 3/10 of a pound. A little over 3/10 of a pound, so pretty light, but pretty short, so it's going to be light. Alright, we have the locomotive here. You might hear some squeaking of my chair back here. But the locomotive, being ESU, is a startup of F8, so we're going to do that now. There's your startup. You have directional headlights, obviously, which we'll look at a different angle. Bell is one. Q's horn. Really responsive. F3's flange squeal. Oh, you have to get moving to hear that. There's your headlight. So you hear flange squeal there, that's pretty good sound. F5's Doppler horn. Seven dims the headlight. 8 is start up and shut down, like I mentioned. 9 is drive hold, where it's going to keep that speed that you enable drive hold on with your speed controller on your DCC controller, and then you're going to be able to increase the prime mover based on that speed after it's in drive hold. Independent brake is 10, 11's radiator fans. 12 switching mode, which just so I can explain that to you on 12. 12 is basically going to turn on and dim both the headlight and the rear light so as to not blind your trainman on the ground. That's what the manual says. 13's rear light, 14's handbrake. So a lot of these sounds a little hard to hear over the prime mover, but you can change the configuration variables to where you can hear them better. So we'll skip through a lot of those, but there are a lot of functions listed there on these decoders all the way up to 28. So we'll go ahead and move this thing. Alright, so we're moving this locomotive at 1 speed step towards the AccuTrack 2 speedometer. And it'll take a second. This is out of 128 on my NCE Pro cab. So it's got pretty slow speed control, so this is going to take a second here to get moving. As you can see, even at 1 speed step, it's pretty smooth. The 0.4 miles per hour, that's pretty low. So less than half a mile per hour on speed step 1 is a pretty good crawl. Alright, we're going to go ahead and reverse this here. Here's your headlight. You also have the same light on the other side. We'll move it along at a decent clip here. So you hear that brake squeal. Pretty responsive and pretty smooth, if you ask me, in terms of operation. So they've got this Mo Power capacitor usually if you don't have powered frogs or electrified frogs, you start to run into problems during switches or at switches. So we're going to run this back and forth through the switch and see if there's any problems there. But with these really short axle locomotives, you can experience a lot of problems in switches, and that power will interrupt. But with the Mo Power capacitor, we'll see if it holds out. So I'm going to go reverse first. Until we've cleared the switch, then we'll go all the way up to the frogs, where a lot of the problems usually are. And I've weathered this track too, so it doesn't have the best electrical conductivity either. And we're going through frogs over here. Just so you know, my frogs are not electrified, they're not powered or wired up or whatever you want to call it. So they just cleared those without issue. So I can even go a little slower for you. That's like really crawling through the frog. And I understand that this capacitor is definitely helping with that, because if I take something else, I've had other switchers through this and had issues. So there's a crawl through the switches to let you see how that works. No, we're not completely through yet, but I don't want to bore you to death. It is definitely holding its own for this frog and this switch. Alright, we're going to do a pull test here. Crank it up. Probably be good to go in the other direction. So, less than an ounce, you're looking at about 10 or 12 cars maybe. It could be more than that. I've seen some tests online that have suggested this will pull more than the actual prototype, so but just my pull test here is going to tell you about 12 cars or so. It should be able to pull 12 full-size freight cars. Well, that's going to wrap up our brief look at this Rapido GE 44-tonner switcher, DC, DCC, and ESU LOKSound, again with a Mo Power capacitor. Pretty nice locomotive. You can tell the extra details when you look at different types of 44-tonners that have been released over the years, and you realize that there are things on the prototype that Rapido did that weren't done in the past. So I think overall it definitely operates smoothly. People have had some issues with the sound I've seen online. I don't really have any concern about the sound. One person said it was kind of reverb, another person said it sounded kind of tinny. Sounds fine to me in terms of what it is and as far as what space it has for the speaker. But if you're going to be able to hear any sound without being in person, it's going to be on my video, because this is 5.1 Dolby surround sound. That's how this is recorded. So whatever you're hearing is probably accurate for you. So, you know, I guess beauty and sound can be in the eye of the beholder. So, you know, you might want to test that out and see what you think. But with that said, I'll leave you with a run by, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.